tonight we are very happy to host Ryan and Holly Anthony. They came to this area in late February of 2020, and they are the director and the assistant director of the Iowa Raptor Project. And so they're going to introduce themselves and tell you some about what they're doing, and then we can ask questions. So
I'm Holly Anthony. I'm the assistant director of the Iowa Raptor Project. I started my job July of 2020, so we're kind of in the middle of COVID and everything. So just to start off, what we try to do at the Iowa Raptor Project is we really try to connect the community and students with birds of prey. And by that, we try to connect with the land. Iowa has the most altered landscape in the country. And so we really try to spread awareness about what birds of prey, the challenges that they face in the wild. And we use that our animal ambassadors and do education programs with our raptors that have been rehabbed and can't be released back into the wild. We use them to be animal ambassadors and to educate people about birds of prey. So how I got started with working with birds of prey is I've loved birds my entire life. In high school, I raised homing pigeons and doves and pigeons, a lot of game birds. And then I discovered a sport called falconry. And so I quickly fell in love with the sport and became a falconer. So that was back in 2011. And so through that's really kind of shaped my life in working with birds of prey. So that's how I got into it. So I've always been a bird watcher. I've loved birds my entire life. So we moved to the Quad Cities in Iowa back in 2016. And then it wasn't until 2019 when Ryan, he discovered the job out here at the Iowa Raptor Project. There was a need for a new director, and we thought this was a great opportunity for the both of us. So yeah, that's me, and that's how I work with birds of prey. I love birds of prey, especially. I think they are just really majestic, and they're just designed to hunt, and they're just an awesome species of birds of prey. So yeah, that's me. Sorry for the crying babies.
Yeah, again, sorry guys, we just all the evening things kind of get hard for us, and if we were paying for a babysitter every time, we have so many evening programs. It's just I'm Ryan Anthony, and I prior to this I was a biologist for Fish and Wildlife Service. I was an eagle biologist, so I covered Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri. And then for a short period, I kind of covered Indiana, but I really didn't get much to do before we moved here. So let's see, my background. I'm also a falconer. We actually met at the National Falconry Meet in Lubbock, Texas. So we've got 2 little kids, and found out about this job from Dave Conrad. So he's my supervisor right now, and he was obviously the director many years ago at McBride Raptor Project, which now is the Iowa Raptor Project. So let's see what else. We're just kind of I guess the one big change that we initially made, Sean made before me, was just not doing raptor rehab. Mm-hmm. So we moved from raptor rehab to doing just education, since that's more in line with the mission of the university. We're a higher education institution, so we're wanting to do education and research. But research, Sean didn't have. So we're just over there. So Sean just didn't have enough time to do research. He got they were really good educators, and were really good at doing education, but but they just got themselves so busy with just doing a bunch of programs and just he was interested in doing research but never had the chance. So we came along, and then we're kind of just shuffling just a whole bunch of things around, and we changed.
Doing right now.
Yeah, we're just kind of changing things quite a bit. So in some ways we're kind of bringing it out of the dark ages, because so basically, in terms of, so university pays for back then Sean's salary and now my salary, and then Holly gets paid, and back then Laura would have gotten paid from Kirkwood Community College. So we kind of have that partnership. But essentially, the university's on the skirts of the mission, so it's hard for us to sometimes justify our existence, really, especially when, like if Sean and Laura were just doing a bunch of programs for kids, well, that's not really, like the universities, it doesn't really work for the university as well. So we've shaken things around quite a bit, and we kind of re-looked at our budget. They were not like, they were running in the red quite a bit, but we're hoping to kind of get closer to the black. It would still be, we would still probably not going to break even, but also another thing they were doing, we're just kind of working. They were just getting burnt out because they were working 7 days a week, just every day, not taking any day off, and just not saying no to anything. And so I say that, and like we've been doing that lately here the last couple months or so. We've been working about 7 days a week too. Not always, at a full day, but definitely working like every day. So that's one difficult thing is that we're pretty short staffed. It's just, I'm full time, and then Holly is like part time. So that creates some challenges. We just and especially with these evening programs, we since we're married, sometimes it's hard because we have kids and things like that. But we've learned to say no to a lot of things. But essentially, what we will be doing different is kind of making our programs to where the cost eventually breaks even, and then doing some also other things. So we created a partnership with athletics where we are flying now. We just flew the last week a bird at the football games, and we hope that would attract some donors to replace some of our facilities. Our facilities are like super dated. They're
about 30 years old.
Yeah, about 30 years old, and they were just never really, just the way they're built, they're not great for animal husbandry. They're not great for raptor husbandry. But it was a Boy Scout project 30 years ago, and we frankly didn't know that much about raptors, so they just built whatever they could, and but now we're hoping to get those facilities replaced, but the cost is substantial. It would take probably like over $250,000 to replace all of those. So it's it's got to come from somewhere. The university is not just going to write us a check, say here's $250,000, just go build new facilities. So that's one reason that we started doing stuff with athletics. And then the other reason really is that we hope to reach some groups of people that would normally not just be, like the outdoorsy community. It's not representative of that outdoorsy community. So kids, like inner city kids, adults for that matter, there's so many times when we have a bird on our glove and people are like, is that a bird? It's like, well, you should know what a bird is,
Is that a baby falcon? Or, they don't have any clue kind of what species it is, and they just haven't seen one, at all. So, just getting people that normally don't go bird watching or don't really get out into the wild kind of appreciate like Iowa's wild spaces and appreciate birds of prey and know what they're looking at when they see it.
So that's why we've kind of poured in a lot of energy into the athletics program, just because we do think that eventually it will benefit I mean, just the community as well, but then also the Raptor project, it just really needs a lot of updating. And in the spring, we plan to be doing, and I don't know if we're there yet. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. We hope to be doing flighted bird programs. So essentially, you'd go visit, you know, wherever we fly birds. We'll go out there and we'll be flying several birds, and essentially doing a program where we can invite a bunch of people instead of constantly going and doing, like, you know, traveling for hundreds of programs every year. So we'd be able to do that here, and I think that would kind of cover a lot of schools and things like that.
Yeah. One of my goals in working at the Iowa Raptor Project is to first replace all of our enclosures we have for the birds and get new, you know, enclosures and make it easier to take care of them, and easier to do education. And then it's also just updating, it's just reaching more people for birds of prey, and appreciating the wild spaces. So yeah, that's some of my main goals at the to really replace all the mews.
So really, yeah, we just have, like, you know, we'll have essentially the message we want to deliver to people is just connecting it with the Iowa landscape, you know, the highly modified landscape that Holly was talking about, how to create ways where we can partner with people and partner, frankly, with farmers, you know, to improve wildlife habitat, especially bird, you know, raptor habitat and bird habitat, but really all wild habitat, because we're just, you know, I mean, any acre in Iowa is a huge deal. So so yeah, that's kind of our goal, and I think we're slowly moving towards that mission instead of just, you know, saying the same spiel to just a different group of kids every time. You know, trying to get away from that a little bit. We're still going to be doing a lot of programs in schools and things like that, as, you know, we hope that, you know, those kids would become outdoorsy someday, you know, or at least appreciate you know, wild creatures and wild spaces. So
yeah, something I forgot to say earlier too is that a lot of people don't even know the Iowa Raptor Project is there. They've lived here for their whole lives and they have no idea. So I want people, when they think of like Iowa City, they think, oh, the Iowa Raptor Project is there. And it's really well known for just the awesome education that we do for birds of prey and for all, you know, really all wildlife. So yeah, that's what I forgot to say earlier. I think that's one of my goals as well. So we have really, really big goals. And so it just takes patience to kind of see how it all pans out and how we can grow. And so yeah.
Can I answer that, the banding?
What was it?
So Karen, we are banding this fall. We're kind of, we do stationary banding, so we set up a station and then trap birds and band there, but we're it's kind of the end of season for that, so we'll just be road trapping now, starting, well, any day now it's getting chillier outside, so we'll start road trapping whenever we get opportunity. So one of the studies we were trying to do, and we had to be honest, we haven't developed a great study question yet, but we kind of know the tools we have at our disposal. You know, our biggest challenge really is just time. You know, we can't commit like, hey, Monday through Friday from this day to this day, we're just going to be, you know, able to go do trapping and answer or do a very comprehensive survey of a place or anything like that. So we kind of have to design a question where we're able to answer it within the limitations of what we can do. So road trapping is just essentially, so a stationary trapping is where we basically trap birds. We just set up a station, we put up some nets and trap birds that way. Road trapping is just, we drive around, we look for a specific raptor, and then we drop a trap in front of them, or drop a trap or set up a trap. There's different types of traps, and trap that specific bird. So that's kind of what road trapping looks like. Yeah, we were doing some we're doing a pilot study right now. Last year we trapped a bunch of birds, and I still have to send the feather samples in, but we took feather samples and we'll be analyzing them for stable isotopes. And essentially what that tells us is where the feather was grown. So if it's a juvenile bird, where it was born, because it would have been during the summertime when they're first growing the feathers. If it's an adult bird, we'd know where it's breeding. So those are some of the initial things that we can tell. Then there are a few other things we're exploring. I'm kind of reading literature on it right now. So we could look at cortisone levels in the feathers as well, so we can tell if that bird was stressed or not and how many times it was stressed. So as the feather grows, if a bird was stressed during a certain time, it's going to kind of put those cortisol right there in the feather, in that part of the feather which was growing. So those are some of the things we can explore. We can also tell just from taking a feather sample whether the bird has been feeding in an agricultural setting or if it's been feeding primarily in kind of hay crop type setting. So those are some tools we have that I think we can use easily within our limitations of time. Essentially, we could trap birds basically anytime and kind of tell a story. So we'll be able to initially tell like, hey, this is where the birds are coming from. And then as a follow-up question, we want to probably explore potentially body size differences, fat level differences, stress differences, things like that. And we'll probably do that. I think I have to still kind of articulate that in a proposal. So for myself and for just everybody else. So that's kind of where we are at with research. What else are we doing?
The lead abatement, possibly.
So we are possibly exploring so my prior job working for Fish and Wildlife Service, we essentially have a project from there that it's a wind energy project. They have a permit for taking so many eagles. So eagles, if you don't know, you guys probably all know, but eagles can get killed from wind interaction with wind turbines. So you can get a federal permit. This was actually one of the I say you can get it, but it's very difficult to get it. So but Mid-American Energy did their due diligence and actually got a permit. So with them, they have so essentially they don't pay somebody, but they kind of come up with this mitigation dollar. So they put essentially a dollar amount on an eagle and say, this is what it would cost to replace this eagle in the wild that we took. So then it's up to kind of whoever is doing the mitigation piece to figure out, hey, what's the best way of using this money to do to essentially replace an eagle, So we're exploring. So a lot of eagles die as a baseline. A lot of eagles die from lead poisoning. That's probably the biggest thing that kills eagles in Iowa, just based on data over a bunch of years. There's no like great data out there, but there's like pieces of data in different places. So, and pretty much all seem to say like, okay, the number one cause is most likely lead poisoning. Lead poisoning is also more general to raptors. So it's not just affecting eagles, it's affecting red-tailed hawks, it's affecting turkey vultures, although they're a little less prone to getting lead poisoning. So we thought that would be a good project to explore. So we're potentially looking to working with College of Education, which we are a part of now, in essentially conducting education using some of that funding and essentially creating a big program for having hunters switch voluntarily from lead ammunition to non-lead ammunition. So that's kind of in the works as well. So that's another big research project if it happens. We'll probably have a PhD student for that. So, what else?
That's about it for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that we're doing. If you guys have questions, we can answer. As
Yeah.
see, there's something else in chat. Okay.
How does a bird get lead poisoning?
So essentially, basically, if there's if a hunter goes out and shoots a deer, lead ammunition is lead is a very soft metal. Oftentimes, it's made to what's called mushroom, so it expands, and when it expands, those kind of fingers break off. So it kind of goes like all over the place, and so hunters will gut a deer, leave the gut pile, take the meat. There's lead. Those pieces of lead are in the meat too, but they're also in the gut piles. And whatever, if they leave the carcass, they take most of the meat, but there's still some meat oftentimes. And eagles or other raptors might come and feed on it, especially during the winter time, when we have more eagles here and hunting season is on too. So they'll eat, and it takes very little lead to it affects females more because they absorb it when they're absorbing calcium to make eggs. So they take in a bunch of lead, and it causes a bunch of neurological issues. And not only does it directly lead to death, but we think it also contributes towards other. So some birds will outright just die, because they just had high concentration of lead. Things stop functioning, nerves stop functioning. But then other birds might get affected just enough where they're not responding to things. They're maybe not looking at power cables as they're flying. Their vision got affected, or they're just not reacting as fast to a car driving past. So it affects them that way too.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
So are you still doing your first of the month events out at the Raptor Center?
So we are not at the moment. Family Days is pretty popular. We'd like to do some of it. There's no way we could keep up with 12 a year because we're counting our days like at this point, and
Right.
I don't know if we can. As it stands within the staffing that we have, I don't think we could do any. We'd like to do some. Maybe we might modify it a little bit to where we can still have people out there. But at this point, no, not really. We're not doing those, unfortunately.
So where are you looking
Really just don't
for
have time.
volunteers? Where are you looking for volunteers at?
Well, so we have like 26
Yeah.
some volunteers.
Yeah,
many do we have?
I'm the volunteer coordinator. So yeah, we have 24 right now, but what they do is they do kind of facilities maintenance in kind of cleaning and sweeping and things like that. But then they also feed the raptors. And so I have 2 volunteers per day that alternate weeks in coming in to feed. But what we're trying to do is maybe mobilize some groups of volunteers that want to get a project done, like painting or things like that. Maybe even, I don't know, if we try to do family days again, volunteers could run that, but there's a lot that kind of goes into that. So mainly what volunteers do is to feed the birds and yeah, take care of the bird blind and things like that too.
It's hard for us because the volunteers that we
Yeah.
the volunteers that we have are just kind of people. Volunteers are great, but people don't have all the time in the world. So a lot of times they can be there one day a week for a specific time, and it makes it very challenging to use them in other places. So we can't really train them to go do programs because they may not be available that day, or they might be available only for a certain time. And so those are some challenges we're finding out. We can kind of mobilize groups of people to do, like Holly was saying, projects. So like the mews, the hawk enclosures need to be winterized. We could get a bunch of Boy Scouts together and have them do that. So we could do things like that. But the challenge,
we would be glad to at least put it out there that you're looking for volunteers.
Well, I don't know if we're looking for volunteers though, because there's actually more applications just waiting in the queue, but we just can't use them in a way where the best where we're really looking for volunteers is like if somebody had enough time. Uh, this probably is really only possible for retired people, but they became proficient enough in bird handling and conducting education. That would be really where we could use help, because then we could say, hey, here, you're a trained person, you're essentially staff, and then we just kind of coordinate programs with them and they could
Oh,
do
I
that.
see.
But very few people have time for that. That's the unfortunate
Right.
thing. So.
The people in the past, and you got to realize that we have been involved with the Raptor Center. When I moved here in 1982, those enclosures were there. They were there already. So
Yes,
they're
exactly.
they're close to 40 years old. A
Yeah,
lot of them. I remember when the flight enclosure was built, when it was
Yep.
built, and how big a deal that was. Um, so I know that we used to have people that were in the club that volunteered to be on the feeding schedule and that sort of thing. But the only people who ever presented programs were the director or the assistant director. They didn't have volunteers doing programs.
Yeah, and that's exactly the problem. You know, it's like, so as director and assistant director, we find ourselves doing programs, find ourselves coordinating people, or coordinating volunteers. We find ourselves training birds, find ourselves like, you know, just doing all these things that we just, so that's how we are kind of at capacity for volunteers. We wish we could, there's lots of people want to volunteer, but I just wish we could use them in a way where it kind of, so I mean, if somebody had enough time out of you guys was interested, we'd be happy to train you and use. Another place where we can use volunteers, and this would also be a little more specific, is kind of writing grants. That's another thing, you know, I spent a lot of time doing, and it just I just don't have time to do all those things, especially do them well. You know, I can kind of speed through stuff, but then it's just
grant writing is a skill in and of itself.
exactly, yes.
Yes.
And you know, when you're if you're so busy, then you're trying to rush through it, and it just doesn't do it justice. So
no. Well, it sounds like you've stepped into a large job.
I really did, and really, I mean, I think I wish kind of they had been, you know, kind of updating the facilities and kind of updating the staffing. You know, most of the Raptor centers don't, I mean, they have like 4 people, you know, at least, and then volunteers, you know, 4 permanent people, and then like some part-time, and but we're like way behind with 1.5 person. So
yeah, I can.
We're hoping this spring we might get another full staff, but we'll see.
Yeah, you might get some more grant money too. You know, is Dave helping you with that?
Well, he is helping me with that, yes, but he's just, you know, he's also super busy and just
right.
So yeah,
right.
Yeah, so he's helping me as he can, and but I usually end up. So we, you know, like I was saying earlier, we kind of relooked at our budget quite a bit, and I think we're projecting a much better budget. So I think we should be able to. We're probably not going to be in the black with the full new position, but I think we can probably bring in another staff person that
would be helpful.
That would be that would be extremely helpful.
Right. Well, I don't mean to dominate. Does somebody else have questions? It's a very nice facility out there. It was very interesting to see the different kinds of hawks and owls. You had a golden eagle. Do you still have the golden eagle?
No,
we don't have a golden eagle anymore. I think it died like 5 years ago or so. I don't think. She's trying to get right. So
well, some of those birds were getting really up there in age. They were 20 or more years old. You know, and so
yes,
so
we still we actually just lost a bird that was 21 a couple days ago. Very much, I mean, he was healthy. The day before he was hopping around the mews and very happy, and overnight he passed. But we have Well, it might have been 20, but now they're more closer to 30 or over
Yeah.
30. A lot of them
Spirit
are.
is
So
36 years old or 37,
Yeah.
which is the bald eagle there. I'm sure many of you have seen her.
Yes.
Yeah. So they are like many of them are over 10 years old.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
15.
so turkey vulture is over 30.
Mhm.
Red-tailed hawk is like over 20. Both the great horned owls are over 30.
Mhm.
The barred owl is over 20. So we've got definitely we'll probably, you know, over the next few years, probably be losing them slowly.
How do you get new raptors?
Because it's lost.
Yes.
That, connection.
What the flighted programs would exactly look like. Essentially, it'll be, you know, it'd be 4 or 5 sets of birds that we kind of fly birds like around them or over them maybe even, and we're kind of trying to figure out exactly what that would look like. It would be a program that would be at cost, so there would be like a ticket for it, and be able to do that in spring, this next spring. So we kind of don't have, like, most of our birds don't fly. Some of them that do fly, like the owls are, you know, over 30 years old, so we can't really do much with them. The turkey vulture, she's actually great. I would like to use her in the program, but she's also, like, you know, pretty old bird, and just um, I mean, it is the more, you know, it's more stressful than maybe like taking an older bird. It's more stressful for them than to change things up on them and use them elsewhere. So we'll probably get some new birds. We have gotten a couple birds that I think we could use in the flighted programs, but we need to get to probably at least four to 5 birds to really do it well. And
Well,
we
that
don't.
sounds exciting. And as soon as you've got something scheduled, be sure to let us know so we can put it on our calendar too.
Sounds good. We'll probably be doing it. I mean, it won't be just one a single event. It'll be going on from somewhere probably mid-April to July or something like that. So it'll be kind of several times a week probably. So there'll be plenty of opportunity, and hopefully we can continue that in, you know, following years. So
That'd be excellent.
yeah.
That'd be excellent.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. I attended a flight program at a museum, a desert museum near Tucson,
Yes.
and it was well attended with a lot of people who were at the museum specifically for that flight program, like I was, and
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yes, they do it really well. The Sonora Desert Museum do it really well, and we're hoping to kind of replicate some of that. And you know, but they have like 5 people on staff just
Yeah.
for that program, and they don't
Oh
you know,
gosh.
they're not doing all these things that we are doing. So
Mhm.
so it's just so there'll be some differences probably. I mean, I think our program quality might suffer because of that, but we're trying to replicate that at least.
That's cool.
We have that as a background, and we both have a good amount of experience training birds, so that part is kind of covered, but just the logistics of everything will be a little challenging.
It sounds like you've got a good start. You've got what you want to do, and you know what you need to do. And
Yes, I think it'll just take time, and just kind of you know, one place where we were thinking that we could use like a birding club could be, we're looking for the fall trapping. We're looking for good sites to trap birds at. And what we'd like to do ideally is put people at different sites on the same few days for maybe a couple weeks, and just have people count birds, count all the raptors that they've seen. That's still a significant commitment, because a couple weeks, you'd have to have a couple of weeks off. But then there's an apples to apples comparison of 2 to 3 sites, and then we could kind of trap at the best site essentially.
Right.
So that would be something that that I think that would be in the wheelhouse of a club like yours.
Yeah. Yeah. We used to have people who did that. Yes. Long, I'm talking 30 years ago.
Yeah.
In the late 80s and early 90s, they were involved with the banding, and Cornell was involved also up at Mount Vernon. They worked with the Raptor Center in a banding program. So
Interesting.
they did lose their best spot, however, when somebody built a house that was, not core land, not McBride land, but so close adjacent to where they were doing the trapping that they lost their best trapping spot.
Yes, that's what I hear, is that's a pretty good spot, and there's a house there now.
Yeah.
But there's other spots too. I mean, it's not.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, but that's what
Sure.
we were just trying to figure out a good spot where we could be efficient, because long-term trapping, you really want data for a long time. It's
Sure.
1 year doesn't tell you much. So if we can have like people kind of shotgunning, a quick survey for several days at 3 different sites, that would be really a awesome deal, because then we can kind of compare different sites and see how the birds are moving at different places.
Right.
Ryan, did you get any responses back when we sent out that? We sent out a question like that to the club
Yeah.
members a few months ago.
Yeah,
anybody-
I did not get
Nope.
anything. No.
Yeah.
It's difficult because people, like, again, that it comes down to time. I mean, having
Yeah.
several days to do it, and it would be challenging to do. So we're just kind of, right now basically we're just eyeballing it. We're looking at maps and looking at kind of ArcGIS, and also just kind of based on like kind of local knowledge, for like, this could be a good spot, and then trying out. Actually, our house, my banding station was in the field next to my house, and I wasn't able to trap much this year there. I was only trapped 3 or 4 days, but there's a good number of birds moving, I think, here. So I think this is going to be actually a pretty good site for me. It's really easy. I can just go set up there, and also I could be, if it's a bad day, like nothing is moving, I could just quit and do work from home, and so that makes it very efficient to
Right.
do that. So I think
That's good.
So are you in the general area now?
yes, I'm pretty close to McBride, or to the Raptor Center. We're only about 15 minutes away. So
Oh, well,
we're-
that's good.
yeah,
That's good. It's good. It's a beautiful area.
it really is very pretty here. Yes, we're kind of between the Raptor Project and Wilson's Orchard. We're kind of located in between there.
Yes.
So
Yes. Very nice area.
it
Very
is.
nice area.
Yes. Any other questions you guys have?
I don't see any hands. I don't see any chats.
Great.
We thank you very much for your
Yes,
time this evening.
Thank you
And,
for inviting us. And here's Holly. She'll come.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for inviting us, and it was nice to like talk to you guys about what we're doing, what our goals are, and kind of what we're all about. And I know you guys have seen the Raptor Project change a lot
Yes,
too. So yeah,
yes, yes.
thank you.
We just hope we could get those facilities updated, because I think
Yeah,
That'll be a big thing. Yes.
yes,
huge. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
big
that would
project.
be
But
awesome.
then I think we're moving in that direction, and I think we could get, just that would increase the value of the Raptor project to the community, the interpretation, the signage and things like that would be much better, more conducive to, more modernized too, but then also more informative. So so that will be a big project, but with a good reward, hopefully. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Clapping, clapping, clapping. So
Thank
we'll go on to